Ladies and gentlemen, the internet is in absolute shock tonight. Because after years of speculation, after countless denials, after endless whispers in the shadows of the music industry, Drake, Kes, the champagne poppy himself, just crashed out in a way nobody saw coming. Fans are screaming, critics are laughing, and even his closest circle is scrambling for answers. Because the Toronto superstar has just confirmed the unthinkable. Once again, he's been hiding a child now. Before you roll your eyes and say, wait, didn't this already happen back in 2018? Let me stop you right there. This isn't a rerun. This isn't a recycled headline. This is brand new drama that's spiraling out of control by the hour. Word is, Drake's secret got exposed during a heated late-night Tan argument. So messy, so chaotic. It's already being called one of the most embarrassing moments of his entire career. We're talking accusations flying, receipts being pulled up, close friends turning their backs, and family members demanding answers. And just when you think you've heard it all, there's another twist lurking around the corner. So buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you is bigger, messier, and wilder than anyone ever expected. It all began on what seemed like an ordinary night in Los Angeles when Drake was spotted at a private after-party following a high-profile industry event. Cameras caught him arriving with his usual entourage, flashing smiles, looking calm and collected. But behind those dimly lit velvet curtains, the story unfolding was anything but ordinary. According to multiple people who were there, Drake's mood shifted the moment he noticed a familiar face in the room, an ex-flame who has been tied to him in the past. A woman who has long been at the center of rumors about a child that never made it to the public eye. Fans are shocked because this was no small-time fling. This was someone who had disappeared from the scene years ago, only to resurface in the most dramatic fashion imaginable. Whispers began to ripple through the crowd as people noticed the tension in the air. The room, once filled with music and laughter, suddenly grew thick with silence. Drake tried to play it cool, but everyone around could see his eyes darting. Nervously, his jaw tightening, his hands clenching a little too hard on his glass. It wasn't long before the first confrontation of the night erupted. A close friend of Drake's, who apparently knew the backstory, pulled him aside and asked point blank, "Yo, did you really think this would stay buried forever?" Witnesses say Drake froze. And for a man known for his smooth comebacks, his silence spoke louder than any lyric he has ever written. From that moment, the situation spiraled. The woman in question allegedly approached Drake, her voice shaking but firm. "You've been hiding long enough," she said. "Our child deserves better." That single sentence, sharp and undeniable, cut through the music like a knife. Those close to the stage said you could hear the crowd gasp, people fumbling with their phones, desperate to capture the moment before security could shut things down. But here's where things took a turn that nobody was ready for. Instead of denying it outright, instead of brushing it off as just another rumor, Drake did something that left the entire room stunned. He sighed, lowered his head, and muttered, "I tried to keep them safe." Those words were barely audible, but they were enough to confirm what fans had long suspected, enough to ignite chaos in every corner of the room. From there, the arguments began to explode like fireworks. One person from Drake's team shouted back at the woman, calling her a clout chaser, accusing her of using the child as leverage. Another person, reportedly a family friend of the woman, fired back, "Don't you dare call this about clout. This is about responsibility." The entire party divided in an instant, half defending Drake's decision to stay private, half condemning him for hiding something so monumental. What made the situation even worse was the reaction from Drake's inner circle. Some of his closest associates were visibly upset, shaking their heads, muttering things like, "We told him this would come back." It's clear that people around him knew more than they let on, and their frustration boiled over in real time. Fans later claimed that they spotted Future, who was also at the event, laughing in the corner, whispering to his crew, This man done crashed out again. The emotional toll on Drake was obvious. For a man who built his image on vulnerability, through music, being exposed in such a raw, uncontrolled way left him visibly shaken. His face turned pale, his hands trembled, and he retreated to a corner of the room, avoiding cameras but unable to escape the whispers. He looked like he was about to break down, one eyewitness shared. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get more chaotic, the woman dropped another bombshell. She revealed that this child wasn't a baby anymore, but already old enough to start asking questions. "They know who you are," she told him, her voice cracking with both anger and sadness. "They see you on TV, they hear your songs, and they wonder why their father is pretending they don't exist." That statement alone sent shockwaves through the crowd. People began speculating about the age of the child, about whether Drake had been secretly supporting them financially, or if he had completely distanced himself. Rumors swirled that some of his own family members back in Toronto had met the child in private, creating even more layers of betrayal and secrecy. The energy in the room grew darker by the second. Friends who had come to celebrate were suddenly caught in a storm of accusations, and fans outside the venue were desperate for scraps of information. Someone live-streamed part of the confrontation before security cut the feed. And within minutes, the internet was ablaze with hashtags like Drake hiding again and Secret Poppy exposed. Drake, cornered and overwhelmed, finally snapped. Raising his voice for the first time that night, he shouted, "I did what I had to do to protect my peace." Those words, raw and unfiltered, only fueled the fire. People in the crowd shouted back, asking what peace meant when a child was involved, asking if peace was worth denying your own blood. Emotions ran high, the air thick with judgment, disappointment, and disbelief. Behind the scenes, security tried to defuse the situation, ushering Drake toward the exit. But the woman refused to back down. "You can run tonight," she said, her eyes locked on him, "but tomorrow the whole world will know." That threat hung heavy in the air, a promise that this drama was only just beginning. Outside the venue, paparazzi swarmed, capturing shots of Drake covering his face, shielding himself from the flash of cameras. But the damage was already done. The whispers inside had already leaked out, and social media was exploding with theories, memes, and demands for answers. The champagne Poppy, once untouchable, now looked like a man unraveling in real time. And the cruel twist. While the crowd was still reeling from the revelation, a voice note allegedly recorded during the confrontation began circulating online. In it, you can clearly hear Drake saying, "I tried to keep them safe." That one line, echoing across every platform, became the headline of the night. The question now wasn't just if Drake had been hiding. Another child, it was how long he could keep running from the truth, and how much more of his carefully crafted image would crumble before the world. And that's exactly where the real storm began to gather. Because the next day would bring betrayals, unexpected alliances, and a media frenzy unlike anything Drake had ever faced before. The morning after the explosive confrontation, the internet was on fire. Drake's name dominated every trending list, from Twitter to Instagram to TikTok. Memes were flooding in, with fans mocking the idea of hiding another child while others expressed genuine disappointment. Some even posted old clips from 2018. When Pusha T exposed Drake's first hidden child, drawing eerie parallels and joking that history was repeating itself, but this time it felt heavier. Back then, Drake's denial gave him some room to maneuver. This time, fans had video, audio, and eyewitnesses who swore they saw the look in his eyes when the woman confronted him. And in the music world, nothing is more damaging than silence when the truth is already out. Inside his Toronto mansion, Drake was pacing. Close friends described him as restless, chain-smoking, and snapping at anyone who tried to speak. He was paranoid, one insider revealed, checking his phone every 2 minutes, looking at headlines, looking at who unfollowed him, who was subtweeting him. One of the most shocking reactions came from his mother, who reportedly called him early in the morning. Furious that she had to find out through social media, "Aubrey, how could you let it get this far?" she allegedly shouted during the call. According to sources, Drake's response was half apology, half defensiveness. "I was protecting everyone," he said. "You don't understand the pressure I'm under." But his mother, who has always been his emotional anchor, wasn't having it. "You think hiding your child is protection? It's abandonment." Those words cut him deeply. And those close to him say he broke down in tears after hanging up. Meanwhile, the woman at the center of the storm wasn't hiding. In fact, she doubled down. Just hours after the confrontation, she posted a cryptic Instagram story showing a pair of small sneakers next to a microphone with the caption, "Time to speak our truth." Fans immediately connected the dots, and speculation went into overdrive. By midday, entertainment blogs were reporting that Drake's team was in full crisis mode. Publicists were drafting statements. Lawyers were sending warning letters. And his closest friends were urging him to come clean before the story spiraled out of control. But Drake, true to form, refused to play by the rules. "I'm not going to let them control my narrative," he told one associate. "If I speak, it'll be in my own way on my own time." But that stubbornness was already backfiring. Fellow rappers began chiming in, some offering support, others throwing shade. Meek Mill posted a laughing emoji on Twitter, followed by the words, "Didn't we already see this episode?" Fans interpreted it as a direct jab, reigniting speculation about their old feud. Kanye, never one to miss a chance at stirring drama, reposted a fan meme of Drake with the caption, "Hide and Seek Champion 2025. The internet went wild. And the humiliation piled higher. As if that wasn't enough, rumors emerged that the alleged child's identity had already leaked to certain media outlets, though names and details were blurred for privacy. Whispers suggested that the child had indeed met members of Drake's family, including his uncle. This revelation divided fans even further. Some argued that Drake must have been quietly supporting the child if family members were involved. Others claimed it made him look even worse, hiding the truth while still allowing select relatives access. The emotional conflict inside Drake grew more visible. On one hand, he was desperate to protect his brand, his image as the world's most relatable superstar. On the other, he couldn't ignore the fact that his secret was unraveling. Close friends described him as oscillating between anger and regret. One minute smashing his phone against the wall, the next minute sitting in silence, whispering, "What if they hate me forever?" By evening, things escalated even further. When the woman agreed to sit down for an interview with a major gossip outlet, though not aired live, clips began leaking online, and they were devastating. In the footage, she tearfully explained, "I didn't want to go public. I begged him to be present, to be honest. But he kept choosing his career, his peace, over our child's truth. I can't let them grow up thinking they don't matter." The sincerity in her voice struck a chord with viewers, and sympathy began. Shifting away from Drake. Fans flooded social media with heartbreaking posts, saying things like, "Imagine being a kid and seeing your dad on TV but never in your life." One fan tweeted, "Drake gave us lyrics about being a family man but couldn't be one behind closed doors." The hypocrisy angle gained traction fast, with people digging up old lyrics about loyalty, family, and responsibility, contrasting them with the current scandal. Amid the storm, Drake's son Adonis, the child he publicly acknowledged years ago, became an unexpected part of the conversation. Some fans worried aloud about how Adonis would feel seeing his father accused of hiding another sibling. "That boy's world just changed overnight," one fan wrote. "Imagine finding out you got a brother or sister through the internet instead of your dad." The idea of family division added a new layer of drama, making the story not just about Drake, but about the children caught in the crossfire. In an almost cinematic twist, One of Drake's former friends went live on Instagram, claiming he had known about the second child for years. He used to talk about it when he was drunk. The friend said, always saying he didn't want another kid to ruin his freedom. He loves being the fun dad with Adonis, but he couldn't handle the idea of being tied down again. Whether the claims were true or not, the damage was catastrophic. Fans felt betrayed, and industry insiders whispered that Drake's credibility was hanging by a thread. By late night, Toronto was buzzing with unconfirmed sightings of Drake at his favorite restaurant, looking disheveled, hoodie pulled tight, surrounded by extra security. Witnesses claimed he was overheard saying, "I don't even know who to trust anymore." This sense of paranoia was now fueling rumors that even his closest allies were leaking information. And just when everyone thought the day had hit its peak of chaos, another twist dropped. A voice memo surfaced online, allegedly from a heated call between Drake and the woman. In it, Drake's voice could be heard saying, "If you go public, you're ending everything for me. You think I can survive this again? You think the world will forgive me twice?" That line sent chills through the fan base, confirming the depth of his fear and desperation. The internet responded with a mix of sympathy and ridicule. Some said it revealed Drake's vulnerability, showing he was just a man under pressure. Others mocked him mercilessly, with memes labeling him Hyde Poppy Part 2 and the sequel nobody asked for. The duality of reactions made the situation even more unstable, leaving Drake with no clear path forward. And as the second night approached, a new rumor emerged, one that would push the scandal into uncharted territory. Insiders hinted that a major network was preparing an exclusive sit-down interview with the woman and possibly the child themselves. If that were to air, it wouldn't just confirm the existence of the hidden child, it would put a face to the story, something no amount of denial could undo. Drake knew the clock was ticking. Every minute he stayed silent, the narrative slipped further out of his control. But could he really face the world with the truth? Or would he continue hiding behind the walls he built? And that is where the drama sharpened its teeth. Because as the second night turned to dawn, the people closest to Drake began turning on him one by one, forcing him to confront betrayals he never saw coming. As the second dawn broke, the walls around Drake's carefully constructed empire began to crumble from within. The betrayals didn't come from enemies or rivals this time. They came from the people he trusted most. The first blow landed when one of his longtime producers, a man who had been in the studio with him since his early mixtape days, suddenly unfollowed him on social media. Fans noticed instantly. Screenshots circulated, and soon everyone was speculating. Insiders whispered that the producer had confronted Drake privately, urging him to come clean before it's too late. When Drake refused, allegedly brushing him off with, "Let them talk, I'll drop a track and shut it down." The producer snapped. "This isn't about bars, man," he reportedly shouted. "This is about your kid. I can't stand by this." The fracture sent ripples across Drake's camp, with others questioning their loyalty. It was no longer about the music. It was about morality. One insider revealed people in his circle were sick of carrying his secrets. They didn't sign up for this kind of drama, and now they're the ones catching heat from the public. But the most devastating betrayal came later that afternoon when a leaked text thread began circulating online. The messages appeared to show one of Drake's closest associates venting about the situation to a mutual friend. In the texts, he confessed that not only was the child real, but that Drake had financially supported them secretly for years. "He pays, but he don't show up," one message read. "Money don't hug you, money don't tuck you in." The internet exploded, with fans sharing the screenshots labeling Drake a ghost dad. Whether the messages were authentic or not, the damage was irreversible. The emotional weight on Drake grew unbearable. Close friends claimed he barely slept, wandering his mansion at night, replaying old voicemails and muttering to himself about betrayal. "He kept saying they were supposed to ride with me," one source shared. But he didn't realize people had their breaking point. Meanwhile, the woman at the center of the scandal was gaining sympathy fast. She was seen out with friends in Los Angeles, smiling for cameras, refusing to hide. When asked by paparazzi if she regretted exposing Drake, she replied calmly, "No regrets. My child deserves their truth." Her confidence contrasted sharply with Drake's visible unraveling, and public opinion continued to tilt in her favor. Fans began dissecting every move Drake ever made, every lyric, every interview, searching for hidden clues. It's an old clip resurfaced where he joked about having kids you don't know about. During a lighthearted radio interview years ago, at the time everyone laughed. Now, fans called it a confession in plain sight. He told us, one viral tweet read, "We just didn't believe him." And then came the twist nobody saw coming. Rumors surfaced that Drake's father, Dennis Graham, had met the alleged child in secret. Tabloids published blurry photos of him leaving a small restaurant in Los Angeles with the woman and a child whose face was blurred. The headline screamed betrayal. If true, it meant Drake's own father had gone behind his back, choosing to acknowledge his grandchild while Drake himself stayed silent. The betrayal hit harder because Dennis Graham later fueled the fire with a cryptic Instagram post. He uploaded a picture of himself holding a glass of wine with the caption, "Blood is thicker than lies." Fans immediately connected the dots, interpreting it as a direct jab at his son. Comments poured in, some praising him for standing with the child, others slamming him for throwing his son under the bus. Either way, the family was divided and the world was watching. In Toronto, Drake reportedly confronted his father over the phone. The exchange, according to insiders, was explosive. "Why would you do this to me?" Drake demanded. His father allegedly shot back, "Boy, you did this to yourself. I'm not going to pretend my grandchild doesn't exist because you're scared of headlines." Witnesses say Drake hung up the call and punched a hole in his studio wall. The personal stakes were growing unbearable. The scandal was no longer just about a hidden child. It was about loyalty, trust, and the fragility of the family unit. Drake's carefully curated image of unity was shattering, and the cracks were visible for all to see. Meanwhile, fans noticed that Adonis's mother, Sophie Brasseur, was unusually quiet on social media. Her silence only added fuel to speculation. Was she protecting her son? Was she furious with Drake behind the scenes? Rumors flew that she had privately confronted Drake, demanding answers for how this second hidden child would affect their son's life. One gossip outlet claimed she told him, "You promised Adonis wouldn't grow up in your mistakes. Now look what you've done." The drama spread far beyond Drake's personal life. Brands he worked with started monitoring the situation closely. Whispers circulated that a major endorsement deal was on the line, with executives debating whether his tarnished reputation was worth the risk. "They don't want to be associated with a scandal about abandoned children," one insider explained. "It's bad optics, no matter how you spin it." And then, just when fans thought they had seen it all, another shocking twist dropped. An anonymous source leaked what they claimed was a DNA test, showing Drake as the father with 99.9% certainty. Though the authenticity of the document was debated, the timing was devastating. Social media lit up instantly. With fans declaring the scandal officially confirmed, the betrayal deepened. When insiders revealed the leak might have come from within Drake's own team. "He doesn't know who to trust anymore," one friend said. "He thinks everyone around him has a price, and someone cashed in." Paranoia consumed him, and fans speculated that he began firing staff left and right, cutting ties with anyone he suspected of betrayal. As the pressure mounted, Drake attempted to regain control the only way he knew how: through music. He reportedly locked himself in the studio, recording track after track, pouring his frustration and anger into verses. One insider claimed the new material was some of his rawest ever, filled with confessions, accusations, and pain. "He's bleeding on the mic," they said. But whether the world will forgive him after hearing it is another story. Outside his mansion, however, the storm showed no signs of calming. Fans camped out with posters demanding answers. Journalists swarmed every move. Paparazzi caught him arriving at the studio with his head down, looking exhausted, while fans shouted, "Show us the kid." And then, as night fell on the third day of the scandal, the woman made a bold move. She announced on social media that she and the child would be appearing in a televised interview at the end of the week. "Time to tell our story," she wrote. The post went viral instantly, millions of likes and shares pouring in. It was the one thing Drake feared most to face to the secret. Undeniable proof that would destroy every last shred of plausible denial. Fans are shocked, insiders are panicking, and Drake is spiraling. The countdown had begun. In just a few days, the entire world would see the truth he had spent years hiding. And that's when the whispers started that Drake was considering something drastic. A move so bold and unexpected, it could either save his image or end his career forever, as the countdown to the televised interview began. The tension around Drake reached a breaking point. Insiders claimed he barely left his home, barricading himself inside his Toronto mansion like a man preparing for siege. Security was doubled, blinds were drawn, and deliveries were vetted for fear of leaks. But what no one expected was that Drake wasn't just hiding, he was plotting. Rumors swirled that he had reached out to the woman privately, offering a massive financial settlement to cancel the interview. He threw millions on the table. One source whispered. He begged her, told her she could have anything she wanted, cars, homes, a trust fund for the child if she just stayed silent. But the woman, empowered by the tidal wave of public support, allegedly refused. "This isn't about money," she reportedly said. "This is about truth." That refusal shattered Drake's last line of defense. For years, money had solved his problems, silenced his critics, and bought his privacy. This time, it wasn't enough. Meanwhile, Drake's paranoia reached fever pitch. Fans online speculated that he believed even his closest allies were plotting against him. One shocking claim suggested he had hired private investigators to track down leaks within his camp. "He thinks everyone's selling him out," a source revealed. "It's tearing him apart from the inside." Then came the betrayal that truly broke him. Leaked audio surfaced online, allegedly from a phone call between Drake and a longtime friend. In the clip, the friend could be heard pleading with him. "Bro, you gotta face this. If you keep running, you'll lose everyone." Drake's voice, heavy with anger, snapped back. "You think I don't know that? You think I don't see everyone turning their backs?" The friend's final words were chilling. "No, Aubrey, they're not turning their backs. You're pushing them away." Fans dissected the audio, some sympathizing with his pain, others declaring it proof that even his friends were tired of carrying his lies. The sense of isolation around Drake grew unbearable, and speculation mounted that he was on the verge of a public meltdown. The night before the scheduled interview, Drake finally made his drastic move. At midnight, without warning, he dropped a surprise track on SoundCloud, a raw, unfiltered confessional unlike anything fans had ever heard. The beat was stripped back, almost haunting, his voice cracking with emotion as he addressed the scandal. Head-on lines from the track spread across social media within minutes. "I ain't hiding. I've been fighting world, don't see the pain I'm writing." Another verse hit even harder. "A child of mine, blood in line, didn't mean to leave you blind." The internet exploded, fans flooding timelines with disbelief. Some praised him for finally owning up, calling it the most honest thing he'd ever done. Others slammed him for using music as a shield, accusing him of turning a child's pain into content. But the track wasn't just confessional, it was defiant. In one line, he lashed out at the woman. "You went public, broke my trust, thought the media would raise our love." In another, he addressed his father. "Pops took sides, cut me deep. Guess loyalty ain't what it used to be." Messy, emotional, and unpolished, but it was undeniable. For better or worse, Drake had finally spoken. The fallout was immediate.
Oh.
Fans around the world debated endlessly, some declaring the track proof of accountability, others branding it damage. Control. Memes flooded in, but so did heartfelt messages from fans who shared their own stories of absent fathers. Saying his words resonated in ways he never intended. The woman's response, however, was swift. Within hours of the track's release, she posted a statement on her Instagram. "This isn't a song. This is our life. Our child is not a lyric." The words cut through the noise, reminding everyone that behind the drama was a child caught in the crossfire. Sympathy swung heavily back in her favor. An anticipation for the interview skyrocketed, and then came the twist nobody expected. On the day of the interview, the network announced a bombshell. Drake himself had agreed to appear alongside the woman and the child. Fans were stunned. After days of silence, denial, and paranoia, Drake had decided to face the truth head-on live on national television. When the interview began, millions tuned in. The room was tense, with Drake seated on one side, the woman on the other, and the child between them, their face blurred for privacy. The interviewer wasted no time. "Drake," they asked, "is this your child?" Drake, visibly shaken but determined, looked into the camera. "Yes," he said. The single word sent shockwaves across the world. The champagne poppy, who once prided himself on control, it surrendered. The interview grew emotional as the woman explained the years of silence, the late nights of questions from the child, and the pain of secrecy. Drake, his voice cracking, admitted, "I thought I was protecting them. I thought if I kept it private, they wouldn't have to deal with my life, my chaos. But I see now, I was wrong." Fans were stunned. Some wept, others cheered, but everyone agreed it was the most vulnerable they had ever seen him. But even in the rawness, there was drama. When asked about his father's betrayal, Drake's expression hardened. "I don't know where we go from here," he said. "Family should be family. But sometimes blood hurts you more than strangers." The moment left viewers divided. Is he seeking redemption or shifting blame? Is this a genuine confession or another carefully staged performance? The questions lingered unresolved. Outside the studio, the reaction was explosive. Fans crowded the streets, chanting his name, holding signs of support, while others shouted accusations. Social media lit up with debates, think pieces, and endless commentary. Some declared it the beginning of his redemption arc, while others insisted the damage was permanent. But the most haunting moment of the interview came at the very end. When the interviewer asked the child directly if they had anything they wanted to say to their father, the child, their small voice trembling but clear, said, "I just want you to come see me, not just on TV." The words silenced the room, left Drake in tears, and burned into the hearts of millions watching. Fans are shocked. The family is divided, and the future remains uncertain. Would Drake step up, or would old habits return once the cameras faded? No one knew. But one thing was certain: the champagne poppy the world thought they knew had just been shattered. Replaced by a man forced to face the truth in the harshest spotlight imaginable. And as the interview ended, with Drake walking off stage in tears, the internet was left buzzing with one final question. Was this the end of an era, or the start of a new chapter that nobody ever expected? And just like that, what began as whispers in the shadows has erupted into one of the biggest scandals the music world has ever seen. Drake, the global superstar who built his career on vulnerability and truth in his lyrics, was forced to confront a truth he could no longer hide. Fans are shocked. The industry is divided, and his family has been left in pieces. The confession, the interview, the tears, none of it erases the years of secrecy, and the world is left wondering what happens. Next, will Drake finally step into the role of a father without hiding behind his fame? Will he repair the broken trust within his family and his fan base? Or has the champagne poppy permanently crashed out in the eyes of millions? The stakes have never been higher. And while some believe this marks the beginning of his redemption arc, others insist the damage is too deep, too raw, too real. One thing is certain, this story isn't over. There are still unanswered questions, unresolved conflicts, and emotions that cannot be smoothed over by a single song or a single tear. And now it's over to you. What do you think? Did Drake do enough to redeem himself? Or has he lost the love and loyalty of his fans forever? Do you believe this was a genuine moment of truth, or just another carefully staged performance to control the narrative? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this drama belongs to all of us now. Don't forget to hit that like button. If you were as shocked as we were, subscribe to stay updated on every twist and turn, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss a single moment of the fallout. Trust me, this storm is only just beginning.